Are you tired of watching the banks, your mortgage company, and the government flush money down the toilet? Every day they're taking our savings, our retirement, and our national debt to new levels. Well, you might be laughing, but it's really not funny because our money is being flushed down the toilet by Wall Street, the banks, and Washington, D.C. I'm JerryGermansen, broker owner of EXIT Realty Cool Mountain in Dewey, Arizona, where the weather's perfect and the people are friendly. I want to tell you a little bit about what's happened with the economy relevant to the last 4 years. We've seen our home values drop like crazy. We've seen the mortgage crisis hit, and that's caused the entire economy to go into a tailspin. I think I have the solution, but first let me tell you a little bit about the problem. We're seeing appraisers now appraising properties on a national level 7% below a contract price that a ready, willing, and able buyer is willing to pay. That's on 2/3 of the transactions on a national level, coast to coast, border to border. 7%. And that now becomes the new value for all property going forward. So we're in this downward spiral caused by low appraisal, low appraisal, low appraisal. It just keeps driving the prices farther down. And the banks are really at fault here. The banks are accepting prices that are unreasonably low on bank-owned properties. When a bank is owed $200,000 and the property is worth $150,000 and they accept $150,000 for that property, it's a paper write-off of $50,000 for them. They're actually writing off less, or writing off more and taking less because of the costs that they have involved for paying people like me and paying lawyers. But it's a paper write-off for them. For you and I, it's actual money coming right out of our accounts and right out of our wallets. And I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Builders can't build. They cannot get a project off the ground because they won't appraise the property for even as much as it costs the builder to build it with no profit. Properties are being sold for way below appraised value or appraised cost. We've got additional problems that come into play with this. As we further drop the values of our homes, the people that are our neighbors are now becoming upside down in their homes, and they're likely to walk, and that property then becomes another foreclosure that further drives the values even lower and flushing more money down the toilet. And as an end result, we're going to have tax basis on real estate, which basically funds our schools and our fire departments and police. We're going to have those values drop to the point where there isn't going to be enough money coming in from real estate taxes to maintain those services. And what's going to happen? Well, we're going to see income tax rise, and we're going to see sales tax rise to meet the needs. Something's got to happen. This spiral has to be stopped. And it's an unrealistic spiral. Even worse than the run-up in prices is this fall in prices. The run-up in prices can only happen when a cash buyer is willing to pay more than a property is worth. But because the banks won't loan on it, if you're going to get a loan on a house, they won't loan on it if it's appraised for less than you're offering. So the banks really drive the prices down. Cash buyers are the only ones that drive the prices up, unless we enact my plan. And here's my recovery plan. We stop right now all of the sales that are going on by these banks at these very low prices and add 15% onto every one of them, starting 3 months from when my plan is adopted. That will give us 3 months for people to come out and snap up these properties at basically a 15% savings. That'll take care of getting a lot of these properties that have been sitting for a while. It'll get them off the market and put people in homes in your neighborhood. The next thing I want to do is, on an ongoing basis, add 1.5 times the inflation rate to the value of property. In other words, if a property is worth $100,000 and our inflation rate is 3%, that property would be valued at $104,500. That will start a trend of moving the values up. It will set a new appraised value and a new market value for homes, and will start to reverse the trend that we've been in, flushing all this money down the toilet. It'll allow builders to start to build again, because we'll soon be reaching the building cost number where it's affordable for them to build a home for you, a brand new home, and not be hurt by the appraisals of surrounding properties that the banks are essentially giving away. It'll actually help the banks. Every time the bank writes off a bad loan, you and I are actually paying for that. We're going to be paying for it in our taxes. We're going to be paying for it in the future generations to come following us. So if we can get those prices up, eliminate the shortage, eliminate the write-offs, the banks might even have the money to pay off the money that we loaned them through the TARP, and get us back to whole again, and stop the inflation that's about to come down on us. It'll also save the values for tax purposes for our schools, firemen, and police officers. It's going to save the asset, the most valuable asset that almost everyone has in this country, is the value of their home. That's the basis for life in America. It's been the American dream for generations, and we need to save that value. People that are at retirement age have usually had their homes nearly paid off or paid off. They've sold it, downsized, and had that money to retire on. We need to return to that, because the retirees spend a lot of money and pay a lot of sales tax. They are a big part of the travel industry that's suffering now. So all of these factors would be assisted in recovery if we can just stabilize our home prices and get them to return to normal. The government needs to stop giving out loans that are affecting values as well. In Arizona, we have a program that is a 22% down payment assistance on a purchase of a property that's bank-owned, a foreclosure property. That 22% assistance is not available to the neighbor who hasn't lost his home to the bank. It's an unfair advantage for the bank to be able to sell that property, giving the buyer 22% down payment assistance, and that down payment assistance is forgiven over time. As long as you stay in the house long enough, it's forgiven. It's an absolute unfair advantage to the normal seller who pays his mortgage payment every month on time and has not gotten himself in over his head. So that's my plan. Unfortunately, it's probably so simple and on target that it'll never get passed. It's a simple solution to what's turned into a very complicated problem. Here's what you can do. Don't just sit there and listen to me. Don't let any more money get flushed down the toilet. Get a hold of your local politicians. Get a hold of your congressmen and present this idea to them. I can't do it alone. We all need to do this together, and together we can bring this money back into our control instead of into control of Wall Street and the banks and Washington, D.C. We need to control our destiny again ourselves. Thanks for listening, and if this makes sense to you, sit down and write your congressman right now. I'm Jerry Germansen, EXIT Realty Cool Mountain, Dewey, Arizona.